Hello everyone and welcome back. Today's video is going to be all about nouns. So our first English video, and we will be talking about identifying and using nouns, identifying plural nouns and proper and common nouns. So let's get right into it, identifying and using nouns. So let's first define what a noun is. A noun is a part of a sentence or a word actually that identifies a person, place, thing, or idea. Person, place, thing, or idea are really important because a noun can appear in any of these four forms. So you have to remember person, place, thing, or idea. And a noun actually acts as the subject or object of the sentence. So the main subject that we will be talking about in this sentence. So I laid out a couple of sentences and we will be labeling the noun that is in the sentence. So the puppy ran. First of all, when you see the sentence, I want you to think of which word mostly indicates person, place, thing, or idea. Remember, thing can be either food or an animal. It can be relatively anything that isn't a person, place, or idea. So, out of these words, puppy is the noun of this sentence because puppy falls under the thing category of a noun. And as we discuss more grammar, we're going to find out that the and ran are both different parts of speech of a sentence. So ran is going to be our verb in this case, so our action. So let's move on to another sentence. Chocolate is my favorite flavor. Again, why don't you look at this sentence and figure out which word or words best indicate a person, place, thing, or idea. If you think you've got the answer, you can pause the video and check back to see if you're correct. So let's look at this in more detail. Chocolate is my favorite flavor. So out of these, we have two nouns in this sentence, chocolate and flavor. So chocolate is our noun, flavor is our noun, which means that is going to be our verb. Favorite and my are other parts of speech that aren't relevant at the moment, but we will be discussing them later. So chocolate falls under the thing category, and flavor also does too. So most of the nouns that you might find are going to fall under the thing category, but you can also find person, place, or idea. And person and place really come later in this video when we discuss common and proper nouns. Okay, anyways, so the students finished their homework. Once again, pause the video, think about which word or words indicate person, place, thing, or idea. So out of this, there are two nouns, students and homework. So we have our nouns right here. Finished is going to be a past tense verb, and the and there are other parts of speech, which we will discuss in possibly later videos. So students actually falls under the person category, while homework falls under the thing category. Okay, so that finishes off the identifying and using nouns. This was just very basic to help you guys figure out what a noun actually is and what it might look like in a sentence. So moving on to a little bit more complex, plural nouns. So a plural noun is when your sentence has multiple subjects. So this word indicates multiple subjects. So when you think of plural, you think of many, many things all together. So let's look at a couple of examples. Here are some words that are plural nouns: students, puppies, colors, and dresses. So you notice if you take out the S and make the noun into a singular form, so student, puppy, color, or dress, they are all nouns. So all we have to do is make it plural now. And there are different rules for different words. So you notice how instead of puppies, the normal or the regular singular form would be spelled as puppy. There are certain rules where you have to change the Y to an IES and so on. But mostly it's either adding an S or an ES to the end of your word. Okay, so I also wrote a couple of sentences using these plural nouns so that you can also see how they look. So the students like to read. So this case, students is our noun, and we're indicating that all the students, let's say in one classroom, or the students in general, like to read. Next up, the puppies play with tennis balls. So in this case, we actually have two nouns, puppies and balls. Tennis in this case is an adjective, but we're indicating that the puppies, um, this can be a selective group of puppies or a broad group of puppies. They like to play with tennis balls, which is another plural noun. So we won't say the puppies like to play with tennis ball because then it just won't make sense. We have to say tennis balls since we're using our plural noun in the first place. And next up, my favorite colors are blue and purple. So in this case, we have favorite colors. So colors is going to be our noun in this case. We have our verb are right here, and colors indicating my favorite range of colors or my favorite set of colors are blue and purple. And finally, the dresses have the same design. So dresses and designs are our nouns. And we are saying that the dresses that we have, they all have the same sort of designs or the same design. Okay, so we have just finished with plural nouns. Let's move on to proper and common nouns. So proper nouns, as a brief definition, they have or indicate a specific reference to either a person or a place or a thing. Whereas common nouns, they indicate a broad reference, so a broad range of things or people. So let's look at the next couple of sentences. London is my favorite city. So here we have London and city. So London in this case is going to be a proper noun, and oftentimes proper nouns are indicated by the capitalized letter, but not always. So London is my favorite city. This is a very specific reference to a very specific city. So proper noun, and this is a specific city. So it makes sense why London is a proper noun. Whereas on the other hand, if we had the word cities or city, this would be a common noun. Common. Because we aren't actually indicating to anything in particular, it's just a broad range or a broad idea. So next up, Sarah is my best friend. Sarah is a very specific reference to a very specific friend. So Sarah is going to be a proper noun, and we're describing our friend here. Now, friend in this case is going to be a common noun, because friend is actually not a specific noun. It is just pointing to a friend, whereas Sarah is the proper noun. And notice how Sarah is also capitalized. So you often see proper nouns in names, cities, countries, states, and so on. I mean, you can definitely find them almost everywhere you go because we often like to label things very clearly, and oftentimes a label is also going to be a proper noun. Okay, next up, my friend likes kittens. So we have friend and kittens, but notice how nothing here is very, very specific. Sure, kittens is maybe like a specific, like a baby cat, but we aren't pointing to one kitten in particular. Now, if we were pointing to one kitten, that would make that kitten a proper noun. So both of these are common nouns. Okay, next up, my friend's favorite cat is Sandy. So cat, friends, and Sandy. So Sandy is a very specific cat. So notice how Sandy is also capitalized because it's a name. Sandy is going to be our proper noun. And cat, on the other hand, is going to be a common noun because we don't know what cat yet. If we just break off the sentence right here, we don't know what cat we're talking about yet, but then we find out later that the cat is Sandy. So then we know that Sandy is going to be our proper noun. Okay, and finally, fruits are very healthy snacks. So fruits and snacks. So notice how we aren't pointing to a specific fruit in general, and although fruit is capitalized because it's at the beginning of a sentence, fruits is still going to be a common plural noun. Common plural noun. Because fruit still has the S at the end, so we know that it's going to be plural, but it's still common. And snacks, likewise, is still going to be a common plural noun. Because we aren't pointing to any specific snack, but we just know that we're talking about snacks in general. So that was the end of proper and common nouns. Before we end this video, I quickly want to discuss idea because I know that we didn't go over how a noun can be an idea. So when we're talking about nouns, we can have two types of nouns. Concrete, or abstract nouns. Now there is a key difference. Concrete is, just think of it as a noun that you can touch. So for example, I can touch my pen. I can touch my cat. I can touch my book. And I can touch my desk. So anything that you can touch or anything that you can see. For example, the sky is a concrete noun, even though you can't touch it, but you can still see it. The sky, or you can think of anything that you can see, like a rainbow. Even though you can't touch it, you can still see it. Rainbow or cloud. Okay. On the other hand, an abstract noun is something that you can't see or touch, but rather something you can imagine. So a great example of an abstract noun is knowledge. So you can't see or feel knowledge, but you can't see or touch knowledge, but you can definitely imagine it. It is a concept that is inside our minds. Some other examples, I'll list them out here. Sadness. Abstract nouns are often going to be feelings. So sadness, happiness. We can also talk about, this one's a scary one, death. Death is also an abstract noun because we can't necessarily touch it or see it, but we can imagine it. It's not exactly a feeling, but it is an abstract noun. It's an abstract topic. And likewise, we have so many other abstract nouns like power and loyalty. So those are just some examples of how a noun can be an idea. So remember, an idea is going to point to an abstract noun, whereas concrete is going to be every other noun. So person, place, thing, or idea. So let me just list that here. Person, place, thing. And then our idea is going to fall under this category of abstract nouns. Okay, great. So we are quickly going to review what we did, and there is a try it section at the bottom of this video. So first off, we identified nouns, and we learned how to use them. Right here, I quickly drew this chart to see how a noun can be an idea. We went over a couple of sentences. Then plural nouns, we identified how to make a plural noun. We saw plural nouns in action in some sentences. Then we went over proper and common nouns. We discussed how a proper noun is different from a common noun, the definition of both. Now let's move on to the try it section. So over here I have a couple of problems. Feel free to pause this video, take a screenshot, and write your answers down in your notebook. If you want to, you can send your answers to exceledlearning. It's completely your choice, but if you want to try these problems, go ahead and do it. So the first section is identifying the nouns in the sentences, just like we did up here. Circle your nouns and label it, do whatever you want, but make sure that it's clearly visible that you know what a noun is in form of a sentence. So identify the nouns in the following sentences. Next up, we have state whether each noun is singular or plural. So right next to each noun, I want you to write singular or plural. So for example, I'm going to really quickly do candle. So let's say I had candle. This noun is obviously singular, so I'm going to write a small or an S in parentheses right next to it. So this is your example. Okay. And then state whether each noun is common or proper. So let's do another example again. I'm going to choose watch. And remember, we're not pointing to any watch in particular. So this is going to be a common noun. But let's say I said a Rolex. And actually, this might be capitalized. Sorry. Let's say I said a Rolex. This is going to be a proper noun because we're pointing to a very specific watch. Okay, so those were our two examples, and that sums it up for the try it section. Feel free to take a screenshot right now if you want to and do these problems by yourself. And don't forget to email your answers to exceledlearning so that we can check over them and definitely give you the correct answers and feedback. So that sums it up for this video. Please like and comment, subscribe, share this video with anyone who you think it might benefit.